Hello everyone, if you are new here, my name is Sophia DiGirolamo. I am an actually autistic person, and today's video is going to be about some of the best interpretations of autism that I've seen on movies and TV. For those of you guys in the autism community, you'll probably know that there's some pretty bad ones, and I am not going to be touching on those today, but I do want to touch on some of my favorites that I've seen so far. First off, I do want to say that a lot of times when a TV show or a movie gets it really right, I have a hard time actually watching it because it brings back a lot of unpleasant memories of how I've been treated as an autistic person, because for those of you guys who are new here, I was very severely bullied. As an autistic person, I get treated very differently by those around me who know that I have autism, and that's just something that we have to deal with a lot as people with autism. And if you don't have autism or you don't know people with autism, it's something that people don't really understand. And so I'm really happy that we're finally getting some shows and movies that I think talk about it really well and actually like know what they're talking about, but it also makes it really hard for me as an autistic person who's had really similar experiences to what's going on TV now to actually watch them and not bring back those really unpleasant memories. So some of these I can really like sit down and watch thoroughly, and some of them I have a really hard time watching, and I'll discuss that as well. The first one is a biography, and it is about the lovely Temple Grandin. If you don't know who Temple Grandin is, she was one of the first people on the autism spectrum who were able to really step into the eyes of other people and be heard. She has had the most interesting life, and for those of you guys who don't know, she's still alive today. She lives in Fort Collins, Colorado, and she works at Fort Collins University, so CSU, and she's a really fantastic person. I've actually met her a couple of times, and she's known for trying to figure out how to replicate a hug without actually hugging somebody, because that was something that was really hard for her growing up. She was the person that really ended up being the one when I was first diagnosed to help my family understand how my brain worked and how I function, because in this movie they did such a good job of showing how the brain of an autistic person works while also making it easy to understand for people who are not autistic. So being able to have that resource was such a gift to us. If you have not seen that movie, it is truly spectacular, and I really highly recommend watching it. There's also been a ton of movies about historical figures that we are pretty sure had autism before autism was something that was diagnosable. I did watch a really great documentary on Benjamin Franklin, who I'm pretty sure was on the autism spectrum, though I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called. Sorry. The Imitation Game was also an incredible movie. It's about a man named Alan Turing, who was the one who came up with the system that we used to help defeat the Nazis in World War II, and he was not diagnosed with autism, but if you know anything about him, or if you saw the movie and you saw how he socializes with others and just how he functions as a person, you would probably think that he was autistic if you were in the community and you knew about how we tend to function. And that movie was also really beautifully done, and he did such a great job portraying how a lot of people on the spectrum end up functioning. He was played by Benedict Cumberbatch, by the way, and I am really blown away by how much he committed to that role and how great of a job that he did. It's great how a lot of times when we have a movie or a TV show who has a character that's on the spectrum or in a kind of role where they feel like they have, or where they feel like they can be on the spectrum, it's really cool when they end up getting it right, because for people like me, it really makes us feel like we're heard and we're visible and we're not alone in everything. It's such a cool feeling seeing somebody portray us and make us feel like that's real. It's amazing. Now, another really great example, and this is actually a TV show that's scripted. I don't think I've ever seen anything more accurate that's a scripted TV show than this, and also one more show that I'm going to talk about. This is The Good Doctor. It's a story about a autistic boy who ends up going to medical school to become a doctor, and being a surgeon is his dream and it is his fixation, and Of course, along the way, he's had a lot of bumpy road moments, and he gets treated very differently by his coworkers at the hospital. And that's a lot of the reason why I have a very hard time watching this show, because this is the show specifically that really reminds me of my past. I will sit down and watch it sometimes, but I have to be in quite a headspace to do that. There's a lot of really hard moments in that show. There's a lot of really great moments in that show. Freddie Highmore plays the main character in the show who has autism, and for those of you guys who don't know, he's also the one who played Charlie in the newest version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Tim Burton. And he has done such an excellent job, not only with the acting and with the eye contact, but he's done an amazing job mimicking how a lot of people on the spectrum move. There are a lot of ways that people on the autism spectrum move that are very different and are very, very categorized to specifically people on the autism spectrum. The way that he was able to mimic those so brilliantly blows my mind, and I just wonder how the heck he did that, because I'm sure he probably worked with some people that were on the spectrum to be able to learn how to mimic those movements. And I swear to God, he needs to get some award for that, because he's done an incredible job with this character. The other TV show that I think was the first TV show that really made people understand autism and that got really big was Atypical, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know about this show even if you're not in the autism community, because it's a Netflix original. It's available to almost everybody, and it is a really, really great interpretation of autism. It's about a boy who's a lot more severe on the spectrum, and it's a really great way of showing what that can be like. We tend to meet a lot of people that have more mild autism because it's so much more common. Seeing a story about a boy with autism that's more severe than a lot of the other people that we've personally met with autism is great, and it shows what the family experiences. It shows what his sister experiences. It shows what being in a relationship is like with somebody with autism. It shows how other people treat him, which is, again, a lot of the reason why I have a hard time watching this show, because, again, it brings me back not great memories. This actor, this amazing actor, was able to do such a good job of interpreting how people on the spectrum move and how they don't really tend to make eye contact and how they talk, because he also interpreted a lot of the talking in there as well, how we talk differently, including what Freddie Highmore did as well in The Good Doctor. I wanted to make sure that I got the actor's name right, because he has a very hard last name that I'm not sure if I'm gonna get right. His name is Keir Gilchrist? I want to say. I'm not sure, but the character's name is Sam, and he has this amazing family and this amazing sister that are all very supportive of him, even when they have hard times with the autism. But it is a really incredible show for those of you guys who want to learn a little bit more about how people function with autism. Even though it is scripted, I think it's by far one of the most well done and accurate versions of a story about a person with autism that I've seen. Granted, everybody with autism is very different, and no one story is going to be the same. But if you wanted to learn a little bit more about how we function and how we learn and how we move and how we talk, that is a very, very great interpretation of that, along with The Good Doctor. Now, we luckily have a very new TV show on Netflix that is the reason why I'm sitting down to make this video today, because I'm so excited about this. There is a new TV show on Netflix that is called Love on the Spectrum, and it is the first like reality TV show that I've seen about people on the spectrum. And it is about relationships on the spectrum, and so they follow some groups of people that are two people on the spectrum that are a couple and have been together for a while or even married. And then they'll also find people on the autism spectrum who want to start a relationship and want to date, and they help them to find other people on the spectrum who could work well with them to help them start that journey of falling in love with the first time, which is something that's very scary and intimidating for people with autism. And it's very different of a journey for people with autism than it is for somebody who's neurotypical, because I think it comes very easily for people who are neurotypical, but for autism, it just feels like there's supposed to be this rule book that is just not there, this like instruction guide that is non-existent, and you don't even know where to start. So it's a very sweet show, and it involves real autistic people, and they're all very different, and the really cool part about it is they don't just address the autism side of it, they also address the fact that a lot of people with autism don't just have autism. A lot of them can have hearing problems. A lot of us can have anxiety or depression or OCD. OCD is very common in people with autism. And it's so nice having that part of the story be told, because as somebody who has more diagnosed disorders than I can put on one hand, and autism, it's really, really cool to see them talk about that side of it too, because it's very common for somebody with autism to also have other types of disabilities. It's also really cool seeing real autistic people share their stories about how other people have treated them. And that's a lot of my goal with this page too, is to show my experiences and to tell my stories and to help other people understand. Because if you're not on the spectrum, you will never fully understand how we function. You can get an idea of it, and you can learn how to help people and how to work with people who are on the spectrum, but you will never fully understand how my brain works. And that's okay. It doesn't necessarily need to be that. It's a great way to educate yourself and learn how you can be better for us. That is going to be my main list of amazing TV shows and movies talking about autism and following the stories of autistic people. If you have any other ones that you really love that I should watch, please put them in the description or in the comments down below. I'd love to see them if you guys have any other ones that you thought were really accurate or wonderful. And if you have anything else to discuss about movies and TV when it comes to autism, please also start that conversation in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. If you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do. And if you want to catch me on my other social media platforms and my other YouTube channel for cosmetology, you can find all of the links for that on the description down below. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.